How's it going, guys? Hope everyone is good, and sorry it's been a little while since I last uploaded. I was on holiday for a little break, but I'm back now, feeling good and ready to be your low rank guru again. I also wanted to give a big thanks to everyone who's watched, liked, commented or subscribed in the last 2 weeks. Getting a video to 12,000 views is incredible, and the kind and supporting comments people have left have really filled me with joy. So I wanted to say thanks to all of you. Let's see if we can continue this trend. We had over 400 likes for the tips video, so can we get this one to 400 again? That would be fantastic. Also, if you wanted to watch some more of my content, I will be streaming twice a week, once Monday at 7:30 UK time and Saturday, but if not Sunday, at 12 PM UK time, all over on Twitch. If you also want to keep up with anything that I am posting or when I might be streaming, the best place to go is Twitter or my Discord. And as always, liking and subscribing really helps me out, and if you want to stay notified whenever I do upload here, make sure to ring that notification bell. Anyway, this is a question I've been asked before quite a lot, but thank you to RoseNG2 for the comment. It is a great question. How do you find a main? I want to start with a response that I give to everyone that asks this, and that is being flexible and being able to excel on multiple characters is more useful, in my opinion, in a game like Valorant, as opposed to being able to just main one character. Especially when there's things like new maps, nerfs and buffs that can really change the meta and affect how you play. Being able to mix it up, even if your character might have been picked as well, will really give you the advantage over some players that may be one tricks. However, there are some benefits to being able to main one or two characters, mainly that if you're able to not have to focus on what you're doing with that character, what util you're using, where you're positioning and what's best to get the value from that character, you can focus on other things that you may want to work on or need to work on in your current gameplay, like your mechanics, your positioning, movement, anything like that as well. So before we go into finding out what is best for you, I want to go through the 4 main roles in the game, how some of these characters differ in their role to have different functions in a team, and what they should be doing in a game to help you understand how your playstyle, once you've realised what that is, fits into a role or multiple roles. So let's start with the dualists. Dualists are the characters who are expected to take first gunfights, be able to take space, and for better or worse are seen to be getting the most of the kills. Now, I don't really care for the third point, but being able to take gunfights for your team and taking space where possible, as well as entering sites on attack, are the most important parts of being a duelist in my eyes. The reason that kills to me don't matter is you can be the first person in a fight and die, but if your team trades you and you've still done your job. In the same way, if you're taking loads of space, allowing your team to take sites, plant and win, you have done your job regardless of any kills. The difference I find in the duelist class as a whole is that there is a clear divide between half the agents, being that Jet, Raze and Neon are more set up to take space with great movement abilities, and then you have what I class as second entry or engagement duelists who are more focused on taking gunfights on their terms. Phoenix and Reyna are great examples of this, as they have flashes and blinds to allow them to take the fights that they want, as well as heal after fights to be able to take further engagements later on. However, these two agents aren't as good at taking space, as they have to rely on themselves to literally run it down to take the space, rather than abilities that can help them do that, like Neon's slide or Raze's satchels. Initiators are the agents who help duelists do their job, as well as support the rest of the team to set themselves on defense, provide information, make gunfights easier, and cause a little bit of chaos for the enemies. When looking at initiators, there is somewhat of a divide similar to the duelists, with some initiators like Sova and Fade being a lot better at providing information to their team to tell duelists where people might be or where they won't be for when they are trying to enter and take those first gunfights. Then you have agents like Breach, KO and Sky who are really good at providing utility to take gunfights more favourably for the duelists, with flashes and stuns, or to be able to flush people out of spots with util like stuns or mollies. These agents' primary focus is to make the job of their teammates as easy as possible. Pushing sites on attack, you need to provide intel to tell duelists where to look or where not to look, so they don't have to clear so many angles, as well as flash and stun enemies to make those gunfights even easier. This role can flex between being passive and using your util to give duelists and other agents the limelight, as well as playing aggressive depending on the situation. In a team with a solo duelist like a Jet or a Raze, you will probably see 2 initiators, one more aggressive and one more intel focused, where the aggressive one will play like a second entry in some situations, swinging with the duelist for a trade or to make gunfights more favourable. Controllers are all about denying vision and splitting areas of the map up to give control to your team and making enemies play into your setup or play into your team with less information. Being a controller is all about making things difficult for their team to do what they want. Have their team got an op? Smoke them off, make them play in a spot that is harder to play safe from. Are they constantly sitting in ratty corners? Use mollies to remove them from spots or force them out into the open. On defense, controllers are fantastic at slowing down pushes. If teams don't have a lot of intel abilities to see what is on the other side of a smoke, it makes pushing through smokes horrible for them. And when you combine these with mollies, they are a very good agent at delaying pushes, which is why agents like Viper get seen as almost a pseudo sentinel on defense. This role isn't for people who like to play hyper aggressive, as smokes are key to taking sites, so whether you're on attack pushing for a plant or defense on a retake, smokes are vital, so dying early will be a very negative impact on the team. Sentinels are the anchors of the team, holding down areas on their own with their kits. Agents like Cypher and Killjoy are perfect for watching flanks for your team on attack and preventing your team from being pinched, and on defense are great for solo holding sites. Unlike the first two roles, there isn't really a divide or difference in the agents. All of them do the job of flank watch and anchoring sight fantastically well, but just in their own unique and different ways. This role, like the controller role, isn't made for people playing hyper aggressive, as your job should be to stay alive to either slow pushes onto your sites or prevent the team from being flanked and make it harder for teams to retake sites. So now we know the roles and what their purposes are, we need to figure out how do we fit into this. And the best way to do so is to record your gameplay and watch it back. Review the gameplay like you would be reviewing a friend or maybe even someone you don't know, and be as critical about how you are playing as possible. Now when I say this, I don't mean focusing on utility or if you are getting kills or not, but what you are actually doing. Are you pushing site and taking gunfights early? Are you using your util to help your teammates? Are you really confident at being the solo anchor on site, or are you constantly trying to provide information for your team? If you find yourself being a very aggressive and W key mentality player, then the dualist role will probably be the one for you. But if you find yourself being a bit more passive, still wanting to run into fights but rather waiting for someone to go first, maybe playing one of the more aggressive initiator roles might be the shout for you. If you find yourself having the heads up to guide your team through sites, slow down pushes and sniff out positions and key spots for your team with mollies and smokes, maybe playing a controller is the one that might fit your playstyle even better. And if you enjoy being the solo player on site and can defend just yourself, as well as enjoy watching the flank, then Sentinel role is probably the best one for you. Now, how do you find your main agent? I think this one's a little bit more difficult, because I personally wouldn't recommend maining one specific agent, as it makes you less flexible in situations where your team might need something specific like smokes or intel, or if your agent has already been picked by someone else. Instead, finding your best role and being able to play a handful of agents in that role, or having a main role and agent with a secondary role or pick that you're also good with, will prevent you from getting stuck in these situations and allow you to be a more rounded Valorant player as a whole. For me personally, my main role is controller, but I can also play sentinel. This is helpful if my team insta-lock a double controller, or if we're also on a map where someone like a Killjoy is really important, like Fracture. This is also helpful in terms of your personal performance. Sometimes you aren't feeling it on some characters. Historically, my best agent has been Viper, but lately I've been playing pretty bad with her, so I've transitioned onto Killjoy, especially since she's become really meta on a lot of maps, and it has made me basically a Killjoy main for this entire act. Having one main can sometimes be a negative, as you will at some point run into one of these things, and having an additional one or two agents that you can swap into is really helpful. The other benefit of having a few agents you are good with is it will help when you try to find a 5-stack to play with, as you'll be a bit more versatile than most and will be valuable to a lot of teams, as you'll be able to fit multiple roles rather than just one. But how do we actually find the character that we're best with? I think the best way to find what is best for you is to literally just go out and play as many different agents as possible. Spend some time in casuals playing a handful of games with each one in your role or in each agent you feel like playing, to see if they fit your playstyle and if it's the right agent for you. It is not uncommon for agents in roles that you are good with to not work for you. For me, I can't play Omen, but I'm great with Brim, Viper and Astra. Spending some time to get a grip with the character before deciding whether or not it's the agent for you is very important. I see a lot of people trying to change agents. They'll play them once, get confused with how to use their util correctly, and then get mad and say that that's it, it's not the character for them, even if it might be a great fit for their playstyle. So take some time with each agent in your role to find what is best for you. And just remember, your main doesn't have to be your main forever. As I said, my main has been Viper, but this act I'm really thinking that now moving forward I'll probably be playing more Killjoy and Brim. But I've also played a handful of Jet and done really well, so maybe I'll start playing her more as well. This is the beauty of a game like Valorant. Things will change, and in a year's time you might be playing a completely different role and a completely different agent, so why not try them all now, get the basics down, and then you'll be able to move and transitions between agents a lot easier when it comes to the time that you might want to change up your main. Hopefully this gives you some ideas on what role is best for you, what agents are going to be best for you, and who you should be playing moving forward. And if you have any ideas or videos that you want me to see like Rose did, please drop a comment, as I'm always willing to try some new things and maybe give you some content that you guys want to see. And as I mentioned at the start, let's see if we can get this to 400 likes, and if we can hit 200 subscribers after this video, then I might even start doing a VOD review series or something like that. But anyway, drop a comment on what you'd like to see if I do hit 200, and in the meantime, hope you're doing well, have a good rest of your day, and peace out.